moved through the bedroom into the bath first, carrying fresh towels to replace those the occupant, registered as James Priory, might have used since check-in. She sang a little as she tidied the bath, some bouncy little tune to keep herself company. Whistle while you work, he thought from his station in the closet. He could get behind that. He waited until she came back, had heaped the used towels on the floor for later, waited until she'd walked to the bed and had finished folding down the royal blue spread. Took pride in her work, he noted, as she carefully formed a long triangle with the bed linens at the left corner. Well, so did he. He moved fast. She saw only a blur out of the corner of her eye before he was on her. She screamed, long and loud, but the rooms of the palace were soundproofed. He wanted her to scream. It would help him get in the mood for the job to be done. She flailed out, her hand reaching down for the beeper in her apron pocket. He simply twisted her arm back, jerking it nastily until her scream became a whimper of agony. "We can't have that, can we?" He plucked her beeper out, tossed it aside. "You're not going to like this," he told her. "But I am, and that's what counts after all." He hooked an arm around her throat, lifting her off the ground. She was a little thing, barely 100 pounds, until the lack of oxygen had her going limp. He had the pressure syringe of potent downers as a backup, but wouldn't need it with such a tiny woman. When he released her and she dropped to her knees, he rubbed his hands together, smiled brilliantly. "Music on," he ordered, and the swelling sounds of the aria from Carmen he'd already programmed into the entertainment system filled the room. Gorgeous, he thought, drawing in breath deeply, as if he could draw in the notes. "Well now, let's get to work." He whistled as he beat her. He hummed as he raped her. By the time he'd strangled her, he was singing. Chapter 1. In death, there were many layers. Violent death added more. It was her job to sift through those layers and find cause. In cause, to meet justice. However the act of murder was committed, in cold blood or hot, she was sworn to pursue it to its root, and serve the dead. For tonight, Lieutenant Eve Dallas of the New York City Police and Security Department wore no badge. It, along with her service weapon and communicator, was currently tucked in an elegant palm-sized silk purse she considered embarrassingly frivolous. She wasn't dressed like a cop, but wore a shimmering apricot-hued gown that skimmed down her long, slim body and was sliced in a dramatic V in the back. A slender chain of diamonds hung glittering around her neck. More sparkled at ears she recently, and in a weak moment, had been persuaded to have pierced. Still more were scattered like raindrops through her short chop of brown hair and made her feel faintly ridiculous. However glamorous the silk and diamonds made her appear, her eyes were all cop. Tawny brown and cool, they scanned the sumptuous ballroom, skimmed over faces, bodies, and considered security. Cameras worked into the fancy plasterwork overhead were unobtrusive, powerful, and would provide full scope. Scanners would flag any guests or staff who happened to be carrying concealeds. And among the staff, weaving their way through the chatter to offer drinks, were a half-dozen trained security personnel. The affair was invitation only, and those invitations carried a holographic seal that was scanned at the door. The reason for those precautions, and others, was an estimated $578 million worth of jewelry, art, and memorabilia currently on dazzling display throughout the ballroom. Each display was craftily arranged for impact and guarded by individual sensor fields that measured motion, heat, light, and weight. If any of the guests or staff had sticky fingers and attempted to remove so much as an earring from its proper place,